Welcome to the Solo Edit Podcast, a podcast for estheticians looking for a weekly dose of motivation, inspiration, and honest conversations about life in and out of the treatment room. I'm super excited today. We have Sarah Brown, who is the owner of Enchanted Skin Studio. She has won or was voted Best of Omaha 2 years in a row. So I think that during today's episode, we are really going to unlock and explore some of the ways that she has really built a successful business. And so I'm really excited to have her today. Hi, Sarah.
Hi.
Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you for having me. I'm so excited.
I always like to ask the guests on the podcast, how did you get into aesthetics?
Oh my gosh, it's such a long story. I'll try to make it super short. But I went into school to college to be a social worker. So I just have this deep love of helping people.
Yeah.
I'm an empath at heart, and that's something that I really thought I wanted to do. After I graduated, I realized how hard it is, especially for an empath. So I kind of took some time off to figure out, okay, what do I really want to do? And I genuinely fell in love with skincare. It's not just surface level, but really what it represents. That's when I was I'll go to aesthetic school. And I fell in love with it. Just the way that skin reflects hormones, lifestyle, stress factors, and just building confidence. And really what truly made me fall in love with being an esthetician and getting into aesthetics is I realized I just don't want to give facials. I want to change how women or people feel about themselves. And that kind of ties in with the social work of just helping people in general.
I think so many of us that are in this industry are empaths and have kind of a similar story. I don't know if I ever thought about social work. I probably did, but I've always really wanted to help people. And I feel like that's probably the origin story of a lot of us in this industry.
Oh, yeah.
So as I mentioned in the intro, you have been voted Best of Omaha 2 years in a row, right?
Yes, which is honestly blew my mind the first time that it happened. And then the second time that it happened, I was like, okay, so I'm doing something right. That kind of validation and the reassurance and everything. But I also work my butt off. So it meant so much to me when I found out the first time. The first time I found out I was only in business for 6 months.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
I opened up my business. I opened up Enchanted in March. And then I found out in July that I was nominated. And then in September, I found out I won. And all my friends and my husband, we were just that is crazy. But it was so rewarding. And I have such an amazing, loyal and supportive clientele. And I never will take that for granted.
Yeah. I know you said you worked your butt off. What are some things that you feel kind of set you apart? Or what do you think really contributed to that?
Probably, honestly, consistency and intention with my clients, focusing on the experience rather than just giving a facial, kind of just leading down to those little details. Everything is customizable at Enchanted. So really just prioritizing more of the experience. We do follow-up care, consultation, education with all of our clients. You aren't just coming in to get a facial, you're coming to get a certain level of care.
I think that for me, I'm partial, but I think that it's not everybody can give a facial because obviously everybody can't.
Mm-hmm.
But I think that a lot of what it comes down to is that sort of experience that you offer. It's what sets you apart. It's part of your brand identity.
Absolutely.
And I wish or I hope that anybody going into business for themselves as an esthetician, they realize that there's a lot of really important parts to having a business, but that's one of the most important parts.
Absolutely. If I were to ever give any advice, or when I do give advice to younger estheticians or people opening up businesses or anything like that, is sell the experience, because you can give a really good facial, but if the experience is bad, then the client might not come back. But giving an amazing experience can guarantee that client can come back.
Yeah. Okay, so pretend I'm a client. I know it's individual and it changes, but explain to me what it could look like for somebody, just for those that want to know the details.
Yeah. So with at Enchanted, everybody starts off with a new client consultation and treatment. that way we can really further understand their goals, their needs, their concerns, lifestyle habits, stress factors, or hormones. So we do like a 20 to 30-minute consultation. If it runs over, it runs over. We have a block out time afterwards. So just in case if that happens. So about a 30-minute consultation, really in-depth, a holistic consultation. And then we ask questions like for experience-wise, do you want the bed warmer on? Do you want it on low, medium, high? Do you want a scalp massage? What kind of pressure do you want during your facial? Is there certain smells you don't like? Or do you want essential oils in your facial? Kind of those like nitty-gritty questions.
Yeah.
And then after that, then they get their first treatment, and it's a 60-minute treatment, and it is customized treatment. Again, it's never a one-size-fits-all. Like we're just going to give them what we give everybody else. So it's a totally curated treatment. And then they get sent home with a new client goodie bag that has customized samples to them. So if we would recommend a certain product, we'd give that sample to them. Cute little aftercare cards so they know exactly what to do after their facial. And then just little like fun things inside, like claw clips, hair ties, stuff like that. And then we send them a really long, grateful text. Thank you for choosing Enchanted, with a Enchanted skincare guide that tells them like acne safe makeups, supplements that they can add it to their routine that we would suggest, teas that they can drink that can help with their routine and their skin health, all about skin cares, like learning about skin, learning about their skin. And then we send them a text the next day asking them how their skin was after their facial, if they have questions. And then we like create the treatment plans for them. So it's kind of like a hands-on, all-in experience.
So they feel well cared for. Like you are just, I love that. And you have a team, right?
I do. Yeah.
How many people do you have on your team?
I have 3.
Okay. This is one of the biggest questions, or one of like the most frequently asked questions we see in the Facebook groups. They want to know, like, how did you know when it was time to hire? And then how did you kind of make that leap to hiring someone? Because it can be scary because you might think like, oh, I don't know how I'm going to pay them or what I'm going to do or how to onboard them. Can you walk us through like, I don't know, answering some of those questions?
Yeah, absolutely. Hiring felt very scary for me. It was one of those things like, am I making the right decision? Like, is this the best thing? But I knew it was right when I was having to turn away clients or when I was getting like abundant of clients on my wait list. I feel like to any esthetician that's listening to this, like if you do have a long wait list or you're booked out a couple months in advance, that's when it's time. Start slow. Have a part-time esthetician come in evenings or weekends or when you're not working, or take a day off for yourself that you can have more time. It was really scary, especially financially, but I try to like reframe it as it's an expansion and not an expense.
Yeah.
So like when I first hired, I focused on creating a system. So training system, mentorships, communication. Communication was probably the biggest thing. I not only was a new business owner, but I was also a new boss. And that's also scary because you're like, okay, am I going to be a good boss? And you overthink those kinds of things. But communication was huge for my first hire. I just told her, like, you're going to make mistakes because you're new and you're in a new position. I'm also going to make mistakes because I'm a new boss. So we give each other grace, but we're going to grow together.
Yeah.
And that was like our biggest thing. And she's been with me for like a year and a half now, and she's incredible. But we laugh at some things and we're just like, remember when you first started and the mistakes that were made and everything. But I guess my biggest piece of advice for when to know to hire is kind of just trust your gut. Like if you have an abundance of clients, like you can start passing some of those clients off, but create a system before you do. Create the protocols, create your manuals, get something in place before you hire so then you're fully ready. And training is huge. Train them exactly how you want things to be done and all of it.
Yeah. I think that like having a system beforehand is so important because if they know what to expect, it makes them feel safe within the position, right? Nobody likes to go into something. Actually, I do. I'm very much like, just throw me in and I'll figure it out. And then I make lots of mistakes I probably didn't need to make if I just, I don't know, listened, whatever. But, you know, it makes people feel safe and seen and cared for. and like you're on their side. So that's one thing I will say. In my business, I'm not great at creating those systems and those policies until after the fact. So that's amazing. And I feel like your ability to do that is a testament to being able to have a team of, you said 3, right?
Yeah. So I hired Tansy, who is now my lead esthetician, which is amazing. I just told her that like a couple weeks ago that she's grown so much. But I did make those mistakes. I made quite a few mistakes with learning how to be the best boss that I can or having those systems in place. So when I hired my 2 other girls last year in the summer, I knew what I did wrong and I knew how to be different and better. Because sometimes I'm a type B boss, is what Tansy and I call each other. I do have my certain things, all my ducks in a row. And then there's sometimes that I'm like, oh, I should have had this done before. But that's okay because we're all just trying to survive.
We're all just trying to survive and learn. And I am convinced that even really large companies, anytime that they kind of make a shift, same thing. Like they don't necessarily know exactly what they're doing or how it's going to fit or align. And you have to jump in, right?
Oh,
And
yeah.
figure it
Yeah.
out and be okay with that too.
Oh, yeah. And it's scary, but it's also so rewarding and so fun seeing your team grow and see your business grow. I truly would have never thought I would be where I'm at. I worked at a salon and spa for 8 years under somebody, and it was a big company. There was like 12 other estheticians. So I took that leap of faith to be like, I want to go out on my own. I want to be my own boss and be able to create my own system. And then a year later, hired my first employee, and then a year and a half later, hired 2 more. So I'm just so grateful for my team, my husband, my clients, the support system. So
You had said something earlier about like when you're hiring, changing that perspective or having the mindset that like it's not costing you money, it's going to help you make money. And I think that that is so important to realize is like the person that you bring on, it should not be considered a cost, right? They should be making you money. And if that's not the case, if they are actually costing you and they're not making, then that's a whole other
right.
whole other
Absolutely.
issue.
Yeah. And it's like, it is more about making the business money because it depends on where your vision is at. Like for me, my vision, I didn't realize what my vision was until after hiring Tansy and seeing her do so good that I'm like, okay, now the business is actually making money with both of us. If I hire more people, the business can make more. That means I can invest more. We could get a machine. We could bring on more product. We can go on the trips to the conferences and that kind of stuff. So that's really exciting. And again, it's not an expense, it's an expansion.
Yeah. Let's talk about work culture for a moment. I'm not like the perfect boss by any stretch of the imagination, but we really do try to prioritize like our work culture and like how we want people to feel when they come in. What is your philosophy on work culture and what are some ways, I know we didn't really talk about this before, but like what are some ways that you really try to make your team feel like a team?
Well, team bonding is one. I like to take them out to dinners a lot. When we do like meetings and then I say like, okay, you guys are free to work on each other. Like if we're bringing in a new product or a new protocol, then it's like, let's do it on each other. But like, I know that you shouldn't be a friend when you're a boss, but I try to be more, I'm like 50-50. I want to be your friend and I want to be your boss. So like creating that, like, what is the word?
Boundary.
Yeah, yeah. But also just like creating that connection with them. They know that they can come to me with anything. We literally in their life that I'm not just their boss, but I'm their friend and I'm there for them. So I feel like that gives them the ease of just knowing that they feel safe and they feel comfortable. But then like as far as like work culture with just like the whole team, I think that making sure everybody works well together and when you give them what they need, then they're happy.
Mm-hmm. I have found that, when you run a team and you're generous
Mm-hmm.
in all things, like how you treat them, lunch during meetings or taking them out for lunch, being flexible, understanding that they also have a life and they're not to your business.
Yeah.
Found that they want to work harder for you. And they also feel more of a sense of responsibility for doing right by the business. I do know some people who have businesses and they're, very much regimented and they're like, you have to come in on the weekend and you can't be late. And I don't care that your car broke down and this and that. And like it creates a culture of people coming into work and just like not doing a great job, doing the bare minimum and just being unhappy. And like it ripples throughout the company. So yeah, I always think like try to go back to like, okay, is the team happy?
Right. I totally agree. I never want my girls to feel like they're walking on eggshells.
Yeah.
They do have quite a lot of freedom, but that's because since the space I was at before, the old salon and spa, I didn't really have that, I feel like. So it's like, yes, if you want to take time off, that's your time off. Like you won't get paid, but that's your choice. So like I'm just like, I don't care, but like not in a mean way, but more in like, I want you to be happy. I'm never going to restrict you as long as you're doing a good job and you're taking care of the clients.
Yeah. And you'll have people that like take advantage of that. And then you have people that don't. And I think that I never try to go into a hire with like a scarcity mindset, right? Like
Right.
we've had lots of interviews where we thought people were going to be amazing and it turned out not great.
Yeah.
And that's just like the cost of.
But that's when you know that they're not a good fit.
Yeah.
And that's okay.
So we talked a little bit about how you were voted Best of Omaha, but what are some other things that have really helped you along the way?
Social media is huge. So doing marketing with social media, but like the biggest thing would probably be branding. Figure out like your niche, figure out how you want your business to be like represented. I got my branding done and it was one of the best things that I've ever did because it really shows who the business is, who I am. When clients see a post, they automatically know that's Enchanted. And I know that Kin has that, which every time I see a Kin post, I'm like, that's Kin, or Sarah made that, or something like that. So social media is huge. Like I tell all my new girls that like when you are creating your account or when you're on social media and you're doing your marketing or that kind of stuff, engage with your clients. If your clients are following you, like their posts, comment on their posts. I think that creates a level of connection that like, oh, they care. And I think that that's like a really huge thing, but like kind of being present. Social media is so draining. It is very exhausting. It can make you overthink if you're on it too long. So really just try to stay in your lane, focus on your business, building your business, focus on your brand.
Yeah. To your point, focusing on who you're talking to, right? There's
Absolutely.
seeing a lot of content made by estheticians for estheticians, which is fine if they're your ideal client, like if you're not in the treatment room. But if you are specifically in the treatment room, you probably want to make content that will resonate with the average everyday consumer.
Right. I'm not looking to get like Insta famous or anything like that. I'm just here for my social media, like Enchanted social media, is educate my clients on, what they can do or new products or new protocols or things that can help them in their daily lives with their skin health.
Do you batch content by chance?
I actually just hired a social media manager, which is like a huge step for my business, which is so exciting. But I used to batch content. I had a content creator come out on like a Monday, and we would just get a bunch of videos made. She would edit the videos and send them to me. And then I would have like 100 pictures, 100 videos, and I would sit down and kind of figure out the calendar for the month of like, okay, I want to do a reel, then a carousel, and then a post or a product post, and just kind of figure out exactly what I wanted to do for the month. And then I would save them as drafts. So then when it came to the time to post, I would post it. But some weeks I would be really good, and then some weeks I wouldn't post, and then some weeks I'd be good. So it was a battle, but having the social media manager now is going to be like a huge help for me to kind of take a step back from that. And then I can focus more on other things with the business.
Yeah. I find I love to batch just because, I don't know, there's so many little things in a day that like if I don't, it won't get done. And this is just me, I'll do like, a sloppy job because I'm just like trying to get it done. For us, we plan like a month in advance, and then we kind of batch our content a week or two ahead of time. And then like if there's trends, like I don't manage our social media. I get in there every once in a while, but like Olivia really is like, she's the owner of that, and she's way younger than me. So she's like, up to date and like knows all the trends that are happening. And so, she'll throw some trends in there.
Yeah.
But I find that like when you batch, especially with your captions, you can be a lot more intentional and like just really planning things out so that it also stays on brand.
Absolutely. I would rather sit down for like 3 to 6 hours and get all my content like created with Canva or, batching it up, planning everything out than having to do it every day. Like that's where I kind of was starting to get stressed out was, oh my gosh, I have to sit down and create a Canva post for Instagram. And then I feel like I'm like, okay, well now I can't think of anything.
Yeah.
But when I started to get into that creative mood, that's when I'll be like, okay, boom, 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 I'll knock it all out, save it for later.
I love when I go through those periods. I'm like, nobody bother me.
Yeah.
I'm on one. And like, it's either work or like decorating or just like, I don't want to say rage cleaning the house, but it's like, you're just like so focused. I'm like, nobody bother me. I love when I get into those spaces.
Me too. Because then everything just flows really well.
Yeah.
Like this morning when I was taking a shower, I was like thinking of these ideas, and my social media manager, she's like, I want you to write down any ideas that like pop into your head about what you want to post. And I was like, where's my phone? Where's my phone? So I could like type in my notes app, like, I need to write this down. I need to write this down.
Yeah.
But
yeah, I feel like for me, right before bed is when those sorts of things really hit. Like just like the note taking. So I have like a little thing on my bedside where I'll do that, or in the shower. So before I let you go, I like to ask podcast guests if you could impart like 1 or 2 pieces of advice for anybody that is new or just on the struggle bus a little bit. Do you have any closing thoughts or advice?
Yeah, I think I would say really sit down and focus on where you see your business at or where you see yourself as an esthetician if you're working for somebody, and try to figure out like if that's aligning with you. Is it an emotional thing where you're struggling? Is it the position that you're in where you're struggling? Do you need to take that leap of faith and go out on your own? Do you need to hire somebody to help relieve some of the stress that you have? Do you need to switch careers and not provide treatments anymore and maybe be like a product rep or a brand rep or something like that? But I think that like life is way too short and you can always change what you're doing. But if you're struggling with like the business, I think that really just sit down and think, okay, what can I do to help my business grow or make it better? If you need to restart and kind of go back to the basics or take a few courses to gain more knowledge. And then I would say the other thing for advice would be take care of yourself, because we constantly provide services and it can be really exhausting mentally, physically. We're giving energy and we're taking energy from our clients. So all that transfer of energy is just a lot on our bodies. So, do those self-care habits, read your books, take your baths, go get a facial from somebody else. That's really helpful, especially if you're feeling lost or, you're wanting to be like, okay, well, what else can I do? And then if you go get a facial from somebody, you're like, oh my gosh, that move was so cool. Or I love the way that they did this with their scalp massage or something. Do a mentorship program with somebody. That can always help as well. Just gaining a little bit more insight, a little bit more knowledge. Asking for help is always okay.
Yeah, that's great. That was super helpful. And it's true. Like there is a constant exchange of energy between us and clients. And it is really important that we take care of ourselves too. And our clients, I think, feel when we don't, right? Like they know.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Well, thank you so much for joining me today.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, we'll chat soon.
Okay, sounds good.